In this video, we're going to work through the second problem in the practice problems posted. So it says write a tk-enter application that contains two entry widgets. When the user enters text in the first widget, then and presses the enter key, the application should reverse the text entered by the user and display it in the second entry widget. Okay. So first off, the import statement here, import tk enter as tk, and then I'm going to create a class, and that class is going to be a child class of the tk class. And then the first line in there is going to be to call to the parent class, that's tk, to its init. And I'm going to set a title. And a geometry, just so I don't have to keep resizing it. So I'll go 200 by 50 on this one. And this one I'm going to have two entries in there. So self dot first entry, and so that's going to be self dot second entry. And then I am just going to pack those in there. So self dot first entry dot pack, and self dot second entry dot pack. And again, I am going to prepend these with self first entry and self second entry so that I can control them from outside of this init method. And I notice I totally forgot the header there. So def init. All right, so fix that. Yeah, I want to be able to control first entry and second entry from a method out that's in this class, but outside of this init method. So I made these attributes, right, of the class, so I can do that pretty easily. Okay, and then let's see what that looks like. So reverse. And again, I forgot to create an object, an app object, and call the main loop to set it running. Okay, so that's what it looks like. It's a little small, but that's okay. And I just have my two entries in here. Again, I just went with pack. It's just easier that way. All right, so what I need to do is whenever I type something in here and press enter, right, then it needs to reverse that text and put it down into this. So first, let's just work on taking this text and copying it over to this one, and then we'll worry about the reverse part of it last. Okay, so there's a couple of ways to do this. Both I could create string vars for both of these entries and then do that. I showed you how to do that in a previous example. So here I'm going to use a slightly different way, and so I'm going to use insert and delete. So all right, so what I'm going to do then is create another method down here, def reverse entry. And so normally you have the self parameter here at the very least. In the previous example, that's all we had. We were just dealing with a label there. But here we're dealing with an entry, right? So we're going to need another parameter there. I'm going to call it event. And that's because in order to bind, and to have this be the event handler for this first entry, then what we're going to have to do is use the bind command, and that passes the event object, or an object to this parameter here. And so we need both of those there. All right. And then what we'll do is, first what we would need to do is to get, well, we want to set, right, this second entry text right here. So what we need to do first is, it's kind of a two-step process when you're doing it this way. So it'd be self.secondEntry and then .delete on that one. And so what you would do is you have to tell it, and this is a lot like the text area that we dealt with before, or not text area, but the text widget that we dealt with before, how to put text into that. Here what I need to do is to delete everything that's currently in the second entry. And so that's what I would do. So this tells the second entry to delete in this range. So 0 would be the beginning, and then tk.end would indicate the end of the entry widget here. So that's going to delete everything from the second entry. And then I want to turn around and call the insert method on that as well. All right, and if I want to get a value out of an entry, I just use get. That's all I need to do here. All right, so so this sets the second entry. This tells this parameter right here, tells it to insert at the beginning, position 0, and then this tells it to get whatever's inside the first entry out. But it'd be nice if there was a set method. You could just call that, but there's not, so that I'm aware of. So this is kind of the way you have to do it if you don't use the string var approach that I showed you previously. Okay, and so now the last thing to do is we'll need to bind this entry, right? So to this event handling method down here. So that's going to be self.firstEntry.bind. All right, and then we have to tell it what to bind. What we want to bind is the enter key press. So that's going to be return. And self.reverse entry is the method that we want to call when the user is in the first entry and they press the enter key. All right, so let's try that. And let's see. My indentation is off. I think, is it right here? All right, so for right now, what if I type something in here and while I'm in there press enter, it should display right in the second one. So here we're just copying that over, okay? All right, and so what I want to do is have it reverse, and that's just pretty straightforward in Python, right? This self.entry.get, that pulls out the text out of the first entry. And then to reverse that, right, I just want to tell it to start at the end and go down by -1, so go backwards there. So that's just string slicing that we talked about. So if I enter whatever in here, right, that's going to reverse it. All right, and that's it for this one.